Good morning and good evening to some people. This is Minister Lionel Lee from House of Prophecies and Prayer. I have a question. How come people are not talking about seers? We hear about archbishops, overseers, pastors, clergy, evangelists, and all this, but nobody's talking about a seer. Back in the Bible days, seers were sought after. When someone needed to hear a word from God, they went and sought after a seer, because seers have direct communication with God. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be jumping around, but I'm going to start in the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel 9 and 9. Because I'm here to tell you, there is a seer in the land. The same God back in biblical days is the same God today. So God has to have a seer today like he had back then. So I'm reading from 1 Samuel 9 and 9. Before time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of God, thus they spoke, "Come, let us go to the seer, for he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer." And this was Saul and his servants when Saul needed to hear a word from God. Then said Saul to his servants, "Well said, come, let us go." So they went into the city where the man of God was. Back then it was a man of God. But now today in these last days, it's an awesome, powerful woman of God. Yeah, here. And as they went up to the hill to the city, they found a young maiden going out to draw water. And she said unto them, "Is the seer here?" 1 Samuel 9, 10, and 11. See, back then everybody sought out for the seers. As Saul and them went and sought out for the seer Samuel, the same young lady that was drawing water wanted to see Samuel. Now let's break down what a seer is. A seer is a person who sees. In the Bible, a seer is another name for a prophet, as I read to you in 1 Samuel 9 and 9. But more specifically, a seer was a prophet who saw visions, pictures, or seen scenes in the mind and in the eyes, in dreams, or even with one natural eye. God spoke to his people through a seer/prophet in different ways. And one way was through visions, accompanied the ability to see visions. A seer was given insight into what God was saying by visions. There's a seer in the land, people. There are a few different Hebrew words translated for seer. You have Ro in 1 Samuel 9:11 and Chozak in 2 Samuel 24:11 are the two most common. 2 Chronicles 9:29 might differentiate a little between prophets and seer. Now the rest of the acts of Solomon, from the first to last, are they not written and recorded of Nathan the prophet? And in the prophecies of Ahijah, the Solomite, and in the visions of Iddo, the seer, concerning Jeroboam, the son of Nebat? The distinction is probably that Nathan was God's spokesman in the world. Whether or not he had visions, while Iddo was specifically associated with visions, then there was another prophet, Jeremiah, also operated as a seer. In Jeremiah 1, 11 and 13. Notice that God doesn't ask Jeremiah what he feels or thinks, but rather what he sees. After Jeremiah sees visions, God gave him insight into what the visions meant. In Jeremiah 1, 14 and 18. The term seer isn't used in the New Testament, but there were still prophets who had visions. Paul had a vision of heaven, 2 Corinthians 12:2. As did Stephen, in Acts 7:55 and 56. And you had John in Revelations 1:12-16, when John was on the island of Patmos. Now, I wasn't there in Samuel days, but I'm here today to tell you that there's a seer in the land. Just like in Samuel time, and in Paul time, and in John, Stephen and all them, we have a seer in our time. Do you need to hear from God? Come listen to what a seer have to say. Prophet, Dr. Pastor Sadie Lee Miles from the House of Prophecies and Prayer. Oh, my high, my hill. I don't know what situation you are dealing with. I don't know what problems you have. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know your vital status. I don't know your health status. But I do know one thing, that there's a seer in the land. And if you need to hear from God, if you have a question, if you have a calling on your life, and you don't know what it is, and you need to hear a word from God, there's a seer in the land. Oh, if you're sick, and you went to all kind of doctors, and nobody seemed to know what's wrong with you. Oh, you went to all kind of specialists. You went over here. You went over there. But nobody seemed to understand what's your problem. But I'm here to tell you that there's a seer in the land. If you need to hear from God, oh, if you don't know where you're coming or going, if you don't know what your life entitled, if you don't know what situation you in, you don't know how to get out of it, you seem like everything is going bad in your life, it seems like you can't prosper, it seems like every time you make one step forward, you get pulled 2 steps back. Oh, if you need to hear from God today, there's a seer. They're coming and I saw that and I said it. Oh, he coming more with my seer. Oh, there's a seer in the land. I thank God for God's seer, because he taught me that God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in the spirit and in the truth. Because it's God's spirit that does all the healing. It's his spirit that anoints you. It's his spirit that shakes off sick demons. My higher, oh, yeah, healer. Oh, it's my healer. Oh, I'm here to tell you, I thank God for his seer today. Since he taught me how to call on the name of Jesus. She taught me how to seek God for myself. And let me tell you about a seer today. See, a seer has a direct connection with God. See, what God wants his saint people to know, he tells his seer. See, before this pandemic occurred, before this COVID-19 went rampant, God told his seer, Pastor Dr. Sadie Lee Miles, she prepared us, she prepared her church for these last and evil days. She taught us how to breathe. Oh, she taught us that it was a yes sir time. Oh, I thank God for his seer today. See, she taught me how to seek God for myself. Oh, I thank God for his seer. If you need to hear from God, I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know what your current situation is, but I know that there's a healer. I know that there's a way maker. maker today. He's a problem solver. And he has a seer in the land today. Contact her if you need to hear from God. Contact her if you don't know if you're coming or going. Contact, oh my, you're my healer. Her if you're sick in your body and you need to be healed. If you need a blessing, if you need to hear from God, there's a seer in the land. Oh, yeah, healer. He coming in our side of our Sadie. Yeah, coming in our send a little more. Oh, he coming more with my CA. Oh, it's my healer. Oh, yeah, healer. There's a seer in the land, people. Oh, if you need to hear from God, there's a seer in the land. Oh, yeah, healer. Oh, yeah.